All right, I just wanted to do a follow-up video. I just did a short video on what to do in the primary blast zone when somebody, a friend or a loved one or yourself, gets the worst news of their life. What is it that you do for them? So I just made that video. This video is about what not to do. Okay. And it's essentially, if you go through and just a reminder, guys, we all do the best we can. Moments like these are unparalleled in the human experience. People react in all kinds of crazy ways. There is no one way to grieve, okay? So if somebody just goes flat affect and completely doesn't show emotion, that may be their way of processing. And if somebody screams bloody murder and falls on the floor, that may be their way of processing, okay? So there's no one way, so we're not going to judge how somebody is navigating their news, okay? Because it's not a one-size-fits-all situation. Not everybody, again, I can't tell you how many times I've delivered the news, I'm sorry, ma'am, your husband is dead. I'm sorry, ma'am, your child is dead. Been there through the coroner situations and the chaplain situations, and I've seen this experience more times than I can count. Everybody responds differently. So giving the person or yourself space to react however it is that you're going to react is okay. All right. That said, this isn't something, the mind is going to scramble. It doesn't make sense because it was just one way in your life and now it's not that. And it doesn't make sense. And that destabilizes us. And so in that initial, the mind scrambles around and is really trying super hard to okay, I got to make sense of this. Or it's like, I just can't deal, right? So one thing that we don't want to do is the denial piece or the avoidance piece, if possible. Okay. So there's the whole DABDA, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance, the stages of grief. Not necessarily talking about that. I'm just talking about, boom, you got the news. Like, how are you responding? Or your friend got the news. How are they responding? And then what are we going to do? And what are we not going to do? So we're not going to project how we think they should be responding. And we're going to give ourselves permission to respond however it is that we need to. Okay. As far as the denial, this is where it starts to get a little tricky. Okay. Alcohol is just going to make everything worse. Okay. It's so natural to immediately want to reach for something to it's too much for the brain. I got to go somewhere else. Okay. It's going to accentuate the negative by 100. Okay. So just know that. So try not to drink alcohol. Try not to take nicotine or vape. And again, if you do, no judgment. I get it. Okay. Just know that these things are kind of setups that might act as a crutch in the interim, but can set us up for even more stuff in the long term. Okay. The same with drugs. Okay. So if there's so many people on pills, everybody's all on about judging the street addicts and the people on the street drugs, but it's seriously, let's be real. 60% of the US population is on pharmaceuticals. 60%, if not higher. Right? So we don't need to judge, okay? But just be mindful that maybe you normally take one Xanax and now you're going to start taking a few, or you're taking more Norcos than normal. I don't even know if they prescribe Oxy anymore, but they're prescribing something in place of it, I'm sure. Just be mindful of what it is that you are starting to do in that space, okay? And again, no judgment. You're doing the best you can, but alcohol, for sure, is probably one of the biggest in adding negative energy to something. Be easy on yourself. Be easy on yourself, okay? And if somebody else is going through this experience, again, please just try to show up for them. Be quiet. Don't make it about you. Don't go sharing and blabbing information. Certainly don't gossip. All of those kinds of things. It's an extremely delicate time for someone. And the last thing that they need is any added drama. Okay. So all things holistic, all things nurturing, all things supportive, all things yin to help not only yourself, but other people through this space.